Trying to move our cats across the world has undoubtedly been one of the most stressful experiences of my life, more so than moving ourselves abroad. Because on one hand, Rosie and Beans have been in our lives for 11 years, and Ohana means family, and family means nobody gets left behind. But on the other, it feels wildly cruel and risky to put two animals who haven't left their apartment in a decade, who have zero concept of air travel, on an airplane for 15 hours, traveling further than a lot of humans ever will. Oh, and there's the fact that for the price of the journey, my husband and I could have both flown from Asia to North America and back twice over. All that being said, everything is in motion for our cats to arrive 3 days from now, on Saturday. Though we have had to postpone it once already, and the biggest hurdles feel like they're yet to come. I'm currently in the process of preparing for their arrival with cautious optimism, but let's talk about how we got here. Planning for our cat's big trip has been in the works since 8 months ago, when my husband got the job offer that would eventually move us to Hong Kong. In fact, the only hesitation we really had around him accepting the job was, what if we couldn't bring them with us? And if we tried, what if something went wrong? What if their hearts gave out from the stress? Preliminary research on Reddit, Facebook, and expat forums showed me that there was no way to get our cats to Hong Kong except for by manifest cargo, which meant no bringing them with us as an addition to our flight, regardless of if we wanted them up top with us or down beneath the plane. They basically had to be shipped separately. And I quickly learned that most quotes came in at $12,000 a pet. And we do not have that kind of money. From Vancouver, the only airlines that ship animals as cargo are Cathay Pacific and Air Canada. And you can't book either of these as you might your own travel plans. It must be done by an agency authorized by the Animal Travel Association, which means more money. When I reached out to different agencies for quotes and the numbers echoed the $12,000 I saw in my research, I'm pretty sure I cried and started making contingency plans for who might be able to take our cats. But only after accidentally asking for a quote from a Hong Kong company who said they actually only did the Hong Kong side of the process, i.e. imports and picking up the cats from the airport, did I actually begin to think this might be possible. The Hong Kong agency provided me with a contact of a company in Vancouver that was an overseas partner, and they quoted me $2,678 Canadian. Still a lot of money, but an expense that we would feel a little bit better about putting on our credit card. And so the journey really began. Rosie threw out this morning, and I don't know if it's because she senses something coming or if I've just been giving her too many treats to prepare her for what's coming. Oh, today is a big day. Yes, I'm talking to you and to you. So today we are going to be taking the cats to get their shots, to get them microchipped in preparation for them eventually joining us in Hong Kong. Beans has a panic attack. Like anytime we've even tried to take her outside of this apartment. We actually moved from this same building downstairs to upstairs, and she hated it. She was so scared. Rosie was fine. Rosie's the one meowing in the background, itching to get outside right now. She loves outside, but I don't think she loves the vet. I don't think she likes being stabbed with things. I don't think she likes being shoved into tiny spaces. Wish me luck. We've got our fell away, and we're just gonna have to see what happens. You trying to get outside? What are you upset about? You're gonna go outside, just not how you think you are. Yeah, I'm sorry. To bring our cats into Hong Kong, we have to get them microchipped and vaccinated. Because we are from a Category 2 country, where I guess rabies is kind of rare but not completely eradicated, our cats require a rabies vaccination in addition to their standard cat flu shots. But luckily, because Canada is not a level 3 country, our cats do not need to quarantine. If they had to quarantine for 120 days, I don't think I could do that. I couldn't put them through that. can't see this. The vet trip was traumatic for all involved. They cried the entire 5-minute drive there, and Beans peed herself the moment we left the apartment and was absolutely vibrating. She was shaking so hard. Rosie, minus being whiny, I think was initially pleased to be on an adventure, but all of that changed when they needed to take her temperature and stuck a thermometer up her butt. And I just want it on the record that I think it's extra cruel on all fronts that they made me hold her down for that part. Not cool. My heart was honestly sliced up throughout the entire process because for Beans especially, if this was her just going to the vet with me by her side most of the time, like how traumatized would they be on a 15-hour flight? With the noises of the airplane going and perhaps even the cries of other animals around them. Like, is it more selfish to want to keep our cats with us as we move across the world, risking traumatizing them? Or to leave them behind in the care of somebody else when we're all they've ever really known? I also initially thought that maybe drugging them would be an option, but as we've begun going through the process, we learned that this is firmly not allowed. It can make them woozy, it can mess with their heart rates, and overall just make it more dangerous for them in the long run. Once home, it felt like we could release even just a tiny, teeny exhale. One major task down. Over the next few days, our poor cat's environment changed around them until they were the only ones left. Then we moved them over to my parents. Honestly, major shout out to my parents who volunteered to take them in for this transition. We would have honestly never asked them, never wanted to burden them, because my mom is not a fan of cats, which makes sense because she's allergic. But it was actually her who volunteered to help ease our stress. And honestly, when she did, I almost bawled. Once we brought them there, Beans immediately hid under the couch, only coming out at like 1 a.m. once everyone else in the house was asleep. But Rosie started exploring immediately, excited to have so much space to roam. And behind the scenes, as Darren and I set off to Hong Kong, went apartment hunting, and set up our new home, I would get little updates from how the cats were doing at home. The fact that temperamental Rosie was starting to let my dad actually pet her, only a couple pets at a time, but growing in number of touches she'd allow every day. And the fact that Beans was getting a little bit more confident each day, actually coming out from hiding in the daytime, sometimes even coming to sit beside my dad on the couch. When it came to apartment hunting in Hong Kong, I do want to note that finding a cat-friendly apartment was not hard. Incredibly refreshing after being in Vancouver our whole lives, where having a pet leaves you with like 2 very expensive apartment options and an extra pet damage deposit fee slapped on top. Although to be fair, Hong Kong damage deposit is already 2 months' rent. So that brings us to now, 3 days before the cats come, and I've set off to Pet Street in Prince Edward to find some cat supplies. On the Canada side right now, my dad has taken the cats to the vet to get their pre-flight health checks done, and now this evening we have the final step before they can get checked in. My dad has to get all of that paperwork and the Hong Kong import form signed by an official vet at the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. We actually had to delay everything already by a month because the appointments for the government vets were all booked up until now, but we finally got everything lined up. What could go wrong? To help the cats adjust, I bought some pheromone diffusers as well as sprays off of Amazon, and hoping that plugging this in a couple days in advance will hopefully really help saturate our space and ease our cats' anxiety the moment they're brought inside. Okay, I don't think it's supposed to be smoking like that. It smells like smoke. What the heck? I've never seen that happen. Yo, the plastic is melting. That's what I'm inhaling. Ow. Alright. I love you and appreciate you.
Just a little thing too, right? Everything else, the vaccination thing was okay.
That's so stupid. So the authorities, the export authorities on the Canadian side would not sign our paperwork. I think this is a mix of them being absolute sticklers, as well as like 4 different people, including the professional agents on the Canadian and Hong Kong side, missing a technicality in the paperwork. So apparently, because the cats have moved from our apartment to my parents' place, which is just like a few kilometers down the road, still in Vancouver, still in the same country, within the past 180 days, the government agent refused to sign the paper. To be fair, there are 2 spots on this paperwork that outline like their address and where they've been. The first part is where my dad inputs his address, like where the cats currently are. And on that one, it does say address of premises where the animal has been continuously residing during the preceding 180 days. But then in part B, where the vet has to like attest that they've been living in the same place, it says they have been continuously residing in the country/place of export during the preceding 180 days. And so because this form had the address where the cats currently are, and their rabies paperwork had my old address on it, they said they couldn't sign it. They even got like the Canadian import agency on the phone who has like done this a million times, specifically has done this like to Hong Kong. And apparently they tried to tell them like, no, it's fine. Our Hong Kong contacts got the permit already. We're good. Apparently the agency was like, no, and like said to my dad, like put his hand up and was like, no, like I have other things to do now, like goodbye. And said that our only option right now is to get somebody from the Hong Kong authorities, not just our agent over here, but the actual government authority, to send them a letter saying it's okay that there's an address discrepancy and that they can go ahead and sign it. Which, A, I don't even know if that's possible, and B, the cats are supposed to check into their flight in like 48 hours. And our experience of Hong Kong so far is that some things can be super efficient, but for the most part, things are very bureaucratic and they have to go through the right channels, especially for something that's like animal import. Also, I'm a little bit frustrated because we're paying 2 different agencies and they're liaising with each other, but nobody caught this 180 thing. And if they had seen that, we could have just straight up booked a different date. And now, if things do get delayed that far, they're gonna have to rebook the flights, which from the sounds of it, there might not be an additional cost to that. Really, like, oh, I don't know for sure. Then they'll have to go to the vet again, trauma, and I will have to pay another $300 for them to get re-checked out and to get these forms filled out again. Yeah. I don't know. Right now, I'm just a sitting duck because there's literally nothing I can do until we hear back from the according people. So. Last night I had a lot of anxiety, not just about the cat's admin situation, but as I have for most of this process, about their safety. But then in the most unexpected turn of events, as I was literally up praying at like 3 a.m., I was flooded with so much indescribable peace and assurance that the cats were going to make it here okay, that I'm not worried anymore. I've never had something click like that before, where all of the stress disappeared like a light switch. But here I am. So we're just carrying on our prep as normal. That being said, I do also need to acknowledge my dad throughout all of this, because I know that while I'm at peace right now, he is being put through the ringer stress-wise, as he's doing literally everything he can to make this happen for us. He's taken over most of the communication between the import agencies. He's the one who's been facing the cat's wrath, bringing them to the vets, and who will need to shove them into their carriers again to get them to the airport. There are just not enough words to share how much I appreciate him. So in the end, everybody came through and the paperwork was accepted. They ended up allowing for us to put 2 addresses in that section and just clarify that they were at our old apartment from birth till like July 31st and at my parents' from August 1st till present. And they signed it. It's all good. The cats are in the care of the Canadian agency, travel agency. Apparently getting them in their crates was painful. And from the time they were transferred from their little travel carriers to their actual travel crates, apparently they were just so resigned and they just like walked in, and Beans walked in and turned around and faced the corner, just so upset with my dad and my brother, probably feeling extremely betrayed. So they're not on the plane yet, but they will be here in 24 hours. Hopefully in our home in 24 hours. They'll land in much less than that. It's kind of weird to think that we've been without our cats for 2 months. The longest we've ever been away from them has been a month at a time traveling. And it only recently kind of hit me as I've been spending more time at home that I've been puttering around the apartment without their constant presence. They aren't the cuddliest or most affectionate of cats, but I've always found myself comforted by them just being around. And the fact that when I'm talking to myself as I work, I'm not really talking to myself, just these 2 little creatures that put up with me. So needless to say, I'm so excited to have them back with us. In our last place, the cats definitely tore up our couch, so we're hoping to be a little bit more prepared with their anxiety this time. We have an update. The cats have landed. It's gonna take them a little bit longer to go through customs, but look at them. So we're just doing like the finishing, tidying, keeping ourselves busy. Darren went to go take out the cardboard, some garbage to recycling. Looks so sad there.
far too long, but now I'm on my way back home. I hear the west winds calling out my name. They telling me to head your way, down your road and past your gates. Keep your eyes on the horizon. I was looking to belong when I'd already found my home.
She's gonna go underneath the green one 100%. She's looking for a place to
I'm
hide.
alone, I'm there before the setting sun, for you to fall into my arms, a place I call my home. I was looking to belong when I already found my home.
It is so surreal that we're all here in Hong Kong together. And I'm honestly shocked by how quickly they've eased in. It took them less time to relax here than it did after their first time to the vet. And now it feels like they've been here all along. I'm so grateful that everything worked out, and I like to think that the cats are pretty happy to be reunited with us too.